Hello and welcome to our Future of Gaming session with Twitch. We're delighted to have Twitch on board for our debut into the gaming sector for Mediatel events. And I'm joined today by Damian Burns of Twitch. Welcome, Damian.
Hello, Greg, and thank you for having me.
It's delightful to have you, during these times. And again, it's very good to have Twitch. I think it's the first time that we've had Twitch at a Mediatel event, and obviously the future of gaming wouldn't be complete without a representative from Twitch. And I believe we have a couple of sessions from Twitch over the day. So, but you're obviously the headline act.
If only, but I'll take second place or third.
Yeah, could you tell our huge online audience exactly who you are and what you do at Twitch?
Yeah, I'm the Senior Vice President for Europe, so I oversee all of our operations in the region. And when I say Europe, I'm talking EMEA, so Middle East and Africa too.
Okay, big region. Yeah, well, maybe we'll come. Yeah, that's I hadn't thought about that, but let's maybe come back to the geographical aspect of Twitch and indeed gaming. But obviously known each other a long time, and we're once colleagues for a brief period in our illustrious careers. That you left the cozy world of agencies and went off to the even cozier world of the tech behemoths, Google and Facebook. Why have you decided to leave those comfy shores and join Twitch at this time, and how does it differ, in fact, as compared to the last two roles you've had?
Well, I think, Greg, and actually you'll be pretty familiar with it, that I started the journey at Publicis, originally in traditional media, but then I was one of the founding members of the very first online operation for Zenith. And then I was fortunate enough, some would argue, perhaps not myself, that to work alongside you as we continue to grow that business. And that theme of building is something that I think has been at the core of everything I've done. So I then went to Google and built out their agency business, initially in Europe, but then worldwide, running their global agency business in terms of, the strategy, but also I was very much part of the team that built out their agency infrastructure and modus operandi. I then went to Facebook and had opportunity to build out their ad tech business globally. That's another building job that I enjoyed immensely, and then followed that with a stint in their gaming arm, which was on a very fast path of growth, and I was a part of that. So when Twitch came knocking, I met with the team, and from afar, when I was at both Google and Facebook, I was aware of Twitch. I knew that it was pretty meaningful. Even 10 years ago, there was something going on with the platform. And then just a few years ago, it was very apparent to me that it was really scaling pretty fast and was actually a very innovative and pioneering platform in itself. When I spoke to the team, it just saw that there was more building to do. There's incredible foundations to lean on, but in terms of Europe, at least, I see a tremendous opportunity around our community, our content, our advertising business. There's very exciting times ahead, and that's what attracted me. I love to build.
So it's either Twitch or Taylor Woodrow, was it?
You're still really not funny.
Yeah, I know that. I'm aware of that. And you're a young man. You're a young man in a young man's game. How do you explain Twitch to those, as you use that lovely phrase, traditional media, beloved of those who work in the newfound world of digital, which is, of course, at least 50 years old. Yeah, how do you explain Twitch?
Yep. Okay. So, at its essence, sorry.
Yeah, people knew what Facebook was when you went there, and people even knew what Google was when they went there. I dare say there's a lot of people, that don't know what Twitch is. How do you explain that?
Well, at its core, it's an interactive live streaming platform that spans a whole host of content categories, heritage in gaming, but we've seen over the years that the content categories on Twitch have grown exponentially. So music, entertainment, sport, esports, art, cookery, just chatting, or the in real life category, they've all seen incredible growth. In fact, in the last 3 years, we've seen our non-gaming content on the platform quadruple. So there's an incredible kind of rocket ship going on outside of gaming content as well. But I think at its heart, and what perhaps differentiates Twitch from any other platform, is the community. People bond around shared interests and passions on the platform. The interaction they're able to have with the people that they follow or subscribe to is unparalleled. The friendships and the community they build around those passions and interests, you know, is really something special, and it's something we support with our tools, with our product, and you know, we very much listen to that community in terms of their needs and wants, and that's reflected in the evolution of the platform over the years.
Okay, but what does your mum think of Twitch?
My mum just thinks it's people watching more TV, albeit on a computer screen or a phone. And I think that's a view that would possibly be shared by many around everything internet, whether it's other video platforms as well. I think, you know, the job we have with Twitch is to educate the marketplace. When you see something this meaningful, this big, you know, at any one time we have 1.5 million people on the platform globally. In EMEA alone, in Europe, we have 560,000 people on the platform at any one given moment. You know, we've seen growth in the last month of 50% in terms of hours watched, which is just phenomenal level of growth on a platform with already, you know, millions of people on it. And then what I think is really interesting about it is it's not this one-way experience where you have an audience. The creator or streamer community is also wide and very varied. So we have 4 million streamers, individual streamers every month on the platform, which is just an astronomical figure and boggles the mind. So I would challenge anyone's mum or father to quite appreciate the platform in itself. So we've got a lot of educating to do, and I'm glad to see so much excitement around the platform from the media industry, from agencies, from advertisers, because we've got a great story to tell. We're enjoying telling it, and we're loving the fact that people are leaning in on Twitch.
Okay, and you talk about, yeah, we'll perhaps come back to things like music and perhaps cookery. Cookery wasn't a stream that I was aware of, but yeah, that quadruple increase in traffic, but it's still, yeah, primarily the majority of traffic, yeah, and the heritage of the platform has come from gaming, which is still seen, especially in our industry of marketing and advertising, still seen as a niche. And yeah, I was wondering whether you think that's true, and yeah, whether that's going to hold back the growth in other areas.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions around gaming itself as an industry and its audiences and its players. I think, you know, it's often viewed as a minority pastime. At least it certainly was historically, when actually it's a majority pastime. The majority of people play games of some description, and play video games, whether it's on their phone or on a console or on a PC. So we're all gaming. Everyone's a gamer, and we're seeing, you know, that variety is reflected in the audiences on Twitch, and that scale is reflected in our audiences on Twitch. You know, last year we had 10 billion hours of content watched on Twitch, and you know, when I talked about that growth month on month of 50% in recent times, it just shows that there's no stopping this train. And yeah, it's gonna, the thing about the gaming industry is it just keeps evolving and diversifying. There are so many different genres, there's so many different ways now that you can interact. You know, 10 to 15 years ago, it was principally a single purchase event and you watched it on either a PC or a console. Now you're watching games and playing games on a mobile phone as well, and that's opened up a whole host of new audiences and markets and geographies. And that makes it incredibly global as an industry. I also think, you know, when you think about the digitization of it, it's just opened up so many new opportunities for interaction. You know, the games you play now, you will play them alongside someone, often can be your friends, but also could be someone sitting in another country, you know, on the other side of the world, and interacting with them.
And that's not something which is Twitch has brought about. I mean, that's been brought about by the games and the console manufacturers. But yeah, and what ways has Twitch actually changed gaming, do you think?
Well, I think what happened, what coincided with that kind of explosion in kind of multiplayer, was that Twitch brought the ability to watch and interact with people doing that, and that was a very new phenomenon, very new. And we gave the creators, the streamers, the tools to not only interact with their audiences, but chat to them, have their gameplay influenced by it. We have our audience are able to talk to their streamers, talk amongst themselves. It's taken it and driven kind of exponential opportunities around the gaming content, and that's where I think where Twitch has added this kind of new dimension to the world of gaming.
Okay, and we're both sat in strange cubicle rooms rather than a lovely auditorium. We're in lockdown. Lockdown has been good for esports. Yeah, we've seen it hit the mainstream with the virtual Grand National on ITV, professional cyclists on Zwift on Eurosport. Has esports also exploded on Twitch? Have you had a good lockdown?
I don't think there's such thing as a good lockdown. I think these are unprecedented times in terms of the challenge to everyone around the world. So, recognizing that undoubtedly people have been challenged in doing what they love to do, and that spans a whole host of activities, where it's just being outside the house, whether it's watching sports live or on television, whether it's playing games outside, playing sports, whether it's going to the theatre, the cinema. All of these have been constrained to a large degree. And what Twitch has been able to do is offer a source of community, a source of connections. And I think that has been instrumental to a lot of the organic growth we're seeing on the platform, because people do want those bonds. They do want to speak and interact with other people. And we have been that platform that is being relatively unaffected by what's going on in the world.
So I take your point. Yeah, no one's having a good lockdown, but there are people with positive stories, and indeed, arguably you're one of those. So you're a man with marketing as a training, so you're not just a general manager, or you've not come from the coding side of the business. You're a marketeer at heart. What are the marketing things that Twitch has been doing to capitalize in a good way on the fact that you've got a chance to grow audience at this time?
Yeah, I think marketing probably is what we haven't been doing, actually. I think a lot of the growth that we've seen in terms of inbound and organic is something that we've been able to support our streamers with in terms of utilizing it for good. So we've had a number of events, including Stream Aid, which had a whole host of artists across the spectrum of music and gaming, including John Legend from the music scene, plus some of the biggest streamers in the world were on that platform. And that raised in excess of millions for COVID. I think it was the World Health Organization COVID fund. We've also seen in France the French Red Cross, supported by sports superstars like Antoine Griezmann, Paul Pogba, rallying around and showing their gaming skills and streaming to raise money for charity. So I think it's interesting how the platform has been used in that way, where the stars from the world of entertainment, music, sport, and gaming have come together on the platform and tapped into this global audience for good.
Yeah. Okay. I touched on music a couple of times. I was reading, there's a very good article in Rolling Stone about Twitch's potential impact on music and live music, and I think that article said that it was currently only about 1% of your total streams, but as you say, it quadrupled over the last year, and there's a series of senior hires against that interest from Spotify, from Pandora, from other broader music interests. There seemed to be a growing importance for you, and the John Legend piece would speak to that. Can you give us give the audience an idea of where you want to be in music and how that might grow over the next 12, 24 months?
Yeah, I can't talk to that data point that you reference, but in terms, and that's just number of streamers I think you're referencing versus, or number of streams versus the actual hours watched, which is the actual consumption of music on the platform. And what we're seeing is that, alongside other categories, is the one that's really exploding and has accelerated in COVID times. And I think it's quite rational in terms of why. This is a platform that enables you to tap into audiences that are online, that can interact with you, that can, you know, show their patronage for you in terms of subscriptions or our virtual goods, which are bits, and advertising as well. You know, you can monetize via advertising as a musician on the platform. So, you know, if you're not performing in concerts, you can look at this canvas and this opportunity and the ability to act with people who are passionate about your music or would be passionate about that music if they discovered it on a platform like Twitch. Then it makes a lot of sense to start kind of getting in and amongst it, as we're seeing. I also think there's incredible overlap with the world of gaming and music, and we've seen that. I think Fortnite have been you know, innovators in that space, where you will have seen Travis Scott. I think he had 12 million people viewing him on Fortnite when he appeared. If you're not familiar with Travis Scott, he's a rapper that's just that little bit cooler than yourself, Greg. And
I'm more of a Nick Merckx fan myself, but yeah,
I understand that. Yeah, but he's still just a little bit special. And you know, it makes sense that music is on Twitch because that adjacency is strong. And you know, we need to think differently as well about the platform when it comes to music. You know, they're going to be able to use all of the tools that are available for people who are streaming, you know, sports or gaming, but they might need different tools. They might, you know, have different needs, whether it's the audience or the performers themselves. Now, it's very, very exciting on that front. And you know, you can think about people in gaming where the audience on Twitch can sometimes influence gameplay. You can imagine musicians on Twitch, if they're going to do a set, for example, having their set list influenced. And I think recently we're hearing about musicians who are actually writing songs collaboratively with their Twitch audience members live. So, you know, we're going to see much more of that as well.
Okay. And the other big area of interest is professional sports, and yeah, how that might grow going forward. I mean, is that an area of importance for you, or are you more worried about what the next fortnight's going to be, or the next big multiplayer game?
I think we're, you know, worried is probably the wrong word. Excited is probably the word I would use about all of the categories that we have on Twitch. We're just seeing this growth traverse all categories. It's not just gaming, it's not just music, it's not just cookery as you kind of pegged onto there. When it comes to live sports, I think we share a lot in common with that experience in terms of the audiences after this kind of communal experience. They're looking for that wow factor, and you can bring that onto Twitch with live sports, but then you can add so much more. You know, if you imagine the kind of the current layer where you're watching maybe live sports on TV and you have and it's the Arsenal Liverpool game, and you have an audience maybe chatting amongst themselves, but it's on a WhatsApp group. Well, Twitch brings that together seamlessly in terms of an interaction opportunity for the audience. So there's a whole host of stuff we're doing already. So you might have seen with the work we've done with the NFL, with Champions League, with Formula One. You know, very recently, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc have been streaming on the platform. Charles Leclerc, I don't know if you saw at the weekend what happened with him and his girlfriend, but she managed to lock herself out of her flat, and the only way she could.
It's that story, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's more to it than that, Greg. I wouldn't be telling it otherwise. So she couldn't get into their flat, and because he was too busy streaming on Twitch, his virtual racing, and she was trying his mobile, obviously couldn't get hold of him, and then was able to subscribe to his channel, chat to him on Twitch, and he went down and opened the door. I thought that was a nice story anyway.
That's a lovely story, yeah. And then he got a kicking from his girlfriend. Pick up the phone. So for an advertiser, a brand point of view, I mean, sport, music, gaming, you can see there's a very concentrated demographic there. That 1634 male demographic would go across all three of those interest streams, very easily, and would make it a nice, cohesive sell to brands and the advertising community. You throw in cooking, and I'm suddenly thinking, is there a lack of focus? I mean, is this because you're looking for a young Jamie Oliver type, or am I going to see Delia Smith twitching anytime soon?
I think what you're pointing to there with some of your reference points is the task in hand for not just for us. It's the onus is on us to educate the media industry and agencies and advertisers as to what Twitch is and what its audience is and what the community on Twitch is. You talked about an audience that was kind of centered around 18 to 34, whereas that is a very strong section of our audience that would be reachable. If you look at, I think they did a survey of European men 18 to 55, almost 60% of them describe themselves as gamers. So, we have high levels of confidence that as not only our content within the gaming sphere grows, but as we broaden out into other categories at such a pace that the makeup of our audience is going to keep evolving and broadening. I also think, that it's the onus is on advertisers and agencies to lean in pretty strongly. I think there's nothing new. You talked about my previous roles at two tech companies and saying that they were well understood in terms of what they represented, whether to a consumer or probably to an advertiser or an agency. Actually, that wasn't true. A lot of the stuff that I saw in my previous roles is that brands have to catch up with the consumer in terms of changing behaviors. And that is very, very true of what's happening on Twitch and what's happening with our community. Little quote that I saw, Diplo in the New York Times, who's a DJ and is using the Twitch platform extensively to engage with his community. He talked about how things, the audience is super connected, things go viral faster there. That he used an expression that the audience was culturally hyperactive. And I think that points to the opportunities for brands in many ways, that this is a highly engaged audience. This is an audience that not only is very, very big and meaningful and is actually very, very difficult to reach on TV. I think 30% of our audience doesn't watch TV or broadcast TV at all. So, if you want to reach them, then we're probably one of the biggest doorways there is for that audience. So we've got a job at hand. Every time I talk to anyone around Twitch, they understand it, but don't understand it perhaps well enough to take full advantage of it. And what we're seeing with advertisers right now is those that are leaning in hardest, and they cross all categories. There isn't, our business isn't focused on one or two kind of usual suspects, whether it's entertainment or gaming or CPG. It's all categories, and it comes down to the people at the brand and the people at the agencies to really get their head around what is going on here.
Yeah. Okay, we're nearly at an end, and we've managed to get sort of 20 odd minutes into this, and not mention the fact that your ultimate owner is Amazon. And I was surprised that it's nearly a decade ago since they bought Twitch. What have been the benefits for Twitch as a company and for the Twitch audience of your Amazon ownership? Obviously, the Amazon Prime piece. You can speak to that. That'd be interesting for people, I'm sure.
I think we're an independent subsidiary of Amazon and are left to do our own thing independently. But there are immense benefits from having that alignment with Amazon in terms of the resources and infrastructure that we can call upon and benefit from. And there are business divisions of Amazon that have very strong relationships and would, just like any other game developer, Amazon Gaming Services, for example, just like any other gaming developer, is going to look at the Twitch platform in terms of how powerful it is in terms of tapping into that community, raising awareness of their games and driving the growth of that game's usage and their audience.
Okay, thanks. And just to wrap up, yeah, get your crystal ball out, and yeah, as a man that's in touch with this young hip generation, who's going to be the next Nick Merckx or the next Ninja? Who's going to hit the mainstream from Twitch, yeah, and end up on I'm a Celebrity?
So this is a really easy question to answer, but one without any specificity. And I'll tell you why. It's because, as I told you, we have 4 million streamers on the platform, and the barriers to entry, the ability to start up as a broadcast, 10 years ago, if you thought about how hard would it be to start broadcasting live to the world, it would almost be an impossible dream for the majority of us. It's actually pretty straightforward for all of us now because of the Twitch platform. So what that means is that amongst that huge pool of people streaming, you're going to see, people come from nowhere. We're going to see people who are going to start out with 10, 20 viewers, suddenly bloom into people with 500,000 viewers at any one moment, just as we saw with a very recent streamer in Spain called Gref G. Not Greg, Gref G.
Greg G's a big streamer.
He's the biggest streamer. But Gref G did another actual COVID-focused charity stream alongside other big streamers in Spain, and achieved concurrent viewership of 500,000 people tuning in on Twitch and interacting with him on that platform and the other streamers. And that's what I mean. You really can.
I shall go and look for him immediately. Gref G. That's good.
That's the one.
Right, lovely. I'm afraid we're out of time. That's flown by. It's amazing. Again, good for you that people can just lose themselves in a screen, can't they? And looking at your lovely face for 25 minutes is now up. I'm going to go off and find Gref G to go and stare at. I'd like to thank you, thank Twitch for your time. Yeah, good luck in your EMEA explosion, and I'll see you very soon, I hope.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mediatel. You're doing a fantastic job of keeping the industry informed and entertained during these very challenging times. Good luck.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.